So imagine you are walking into a 2026 wedding reception.
Okay.
You step through the double doors of this massive venue, right? And you're expecting to see what you always see at these things.
Right, the usual.
Yeah, the standard white tablecloths, maybe some, nice tall glass vases with a few roses right in the center of each table. Just standard event design.
Exactly.
But instead, you look up and you are standing directly underneath this massive, gravity-defying, floating cloud made entirely of cherry blossoms and orchids.
Wow.
I mean, it's literally hovering there, taking up half the ceiling, completely changing the shape of the entire room. You aren't just looking at flowers anymore. You're inside a living environment.
It's a complete departure from traditional event decor. I mean,
Right.
based on the design sources we're unpacking today, we are looking at a fundamental shift in how people design and really interact with physical spaces.
Yeah.
It's about taking an ordinary room and turning it into this luxury dreamscape using actual architectural principles.
And that is exactly the mission of our deep dive today. We are exploring this massive trend that is just, well, taking over the United States and Canada in 2026, these sculptural floral installations.
Right.
We have this fascinating stack of research detailing how this movement merges architecture, contemporary art, and organic nature to completely redefine experience design for you.
It's really incredible stuff.
So let's start at the foundation here. What actually separates a really expensive floral arrangement from a true sculptural installation?
Well, it really comes down to intent, structure, and structural engineering, honestly.
Engineering?
Yeah, exactly. Because a traditional floral arrangement, I mean, no matter how large or expensive it is, it's essentially decorative.
Right.
It sits on a surface, it accents a room. But a sculptural floral installation, well, that's defined by architectural framework, flowing shapes, and, dimensional artistry.
So it's not just sitting there looking pretty.
No, it doesn't just accent the room. It actively alters the architecture of the room itself. And to do that, the materials have to go far beyond just fresh stems in a vase of water.
Okay, so what are they using?
Designers are building these pieces onto heavy acrylic structures, metallic frames. They're integrating like heavy fabric draping and even custom lighting directly into the piece itself.
It's kind of like it's the difference between looking at a framed painting on a wall versus actually walking inside a massive 3D immersive art exhibit.
That's a great way to put it.
You're literally crossing a threshold into the art itself.
And what's fascinating here is that when you cross that threshold, you're experiencing something that required serious technical discipline to build.
Right.
The people creating these installations, they're really blurring the line between a traditional florist and a structural designer. Like, to build one of these, you have to use an armature.
An armature, like a metal skeleton.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it as the foundational skeleton of the sculpture. When you are suspending thousands of stems from a ceiling, you're using actual engineering principles.
I mean, you'd have to, right?
Right. You have to calculate weight loads, understand spatial dynamics, and build these armatures so they can safely support a massive amount of organic material. And that's not even mentioning the weight of the water keeping it alive.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about the water.
Yeah, a gallon of water weighs over 8 pounds, and these installations hold a lot of it.
So you really can't just, tape some hydrangeas to the ceiling and hope for the best.
Definitely not. It is a highly technical discipline that's basically disguised as pure organic romance.
Which, makes me wonder about the timing and the location of all this.
Yeah.
Why is this exploding across the United States and Canada, specifically right now in 2026?
Well, we have to look at the canvas being used.
Okay.
There's a really distinct architectural pattern in modern North American venues right now. We're talking about luxury hotels in New York, grand mountain resorts in British Columbia, sprawling vineyards, and repurposed industrial layouts.
Right, those old factories turned into event spaces.
Exactly. And they all share these specific characteristics. High ceilings, expansive glass walls, and just incredibly open floor plans.
They were massive. And visually, I mean, a repurposed industrial warehouse can be quite stark.
Very stark.
Like if you put a standard 12-inch floral centerpiece in the middle of a room with a 40-foot ceiling, it just completely vanishes.
It gets swallowed up by the room.
Yeah. The space demands something massive just to anchor the human eye.
And that cavernous quality is exactly why this is happening. Those vast open spaces, while they're very striking, they can feel very cold.
Yeah, a bit institutional.
Right, almost like an airplane hangar. So sculptural florals act as the emotional warmth in the room.
Oh, I like that. Emotional warmth.
Yeah, they amplify a venue's grand scale, but because they are made of soft, organic materials, they maintain this intimate, bespoke feel. They sort of bring the ceiling down to a human level, you know?
Like a canopy.
Exactly. Creating a canopy or a boundary that makes a massive room suddenly feel like a secret garden.
But I find myself wondering about a chicken or the egg scenario here.
How so?
Did the grand industrial open concept aesthetic of these modern venues create the need for oversized florals?
Oh.
Or did the sheer desire for these huge dramatic floral statements force couples into choosing these specific open spaces so they actually had the physical room to build them?
It's a fascinating cycle. I think the venues drove the initial need, but now the sheer popularity of these installations dictates venue choice.
Really? So the flowers come first?
Often, yes. You cannot build a 20-foot asymmetrical floral tunnel in a historic ballroom with a low, ornate plaster ceiling.
No, that wouldn't fit at all.
Right. The venue has to serve as a blank, minimalist canvas. And, there's a major cultural element driving this need for flexibility, too.
Oh, interesting.
The research points out that North American weddings are highly multicultural. We are seeing incredibly complex blends, South Asian, Persian, and Western fusion weddings.
Which usually involves merging very different aesthetic traditions, right?
Exactly. And traditional, heavily decorated venues often have a very rigid aesthetic that clashes with specific cultural elements.
Like the carpet or the wallpaper just doesn't match the traditional colors.
Right. But a minimalist venue, paired with a massive custom floral sculpture, offers a completely blank slate.
Okay.
Let's say a couple wants to honor a Persian heritage that utilizes the lotus flower, or a South Asian tradition involving cascading jasmine, but they want it to feel ultra-modern.
Yeah.
A designer can build a transparent acrylic armature and weave those deeply symbolic traditional flowers into a sleek, contemporary architectural structure.
That sounds beautiful.
It really bridges the gap between a modern destination aesthetic and rich traditional symbolism without clashing with the venue's existing decor.
Okay, so the canvas is set. The giant warehouse or the beautiful glass-walled mountain resort is booked. The culture is honored. So what exactly are these luxury designers actually building in 2026?
Right, the actual structures.
Yeah, our sources highlight 5 specific trends dominating the landscape. You mentioned the floating floral clouds earlier. That's one.
That is the dominant trend, yes.
Yeah.
Thousands of blooms. We're talking orchids, roses, hydrangeas, baby's breath, and cherry blossoms.
Just floating.
Just suspended on hidden grids directly above the guests. It draws the eye upward and makes the entire room feel cinematic.
But putting thousands of pounds of flowers and water in the air, that brings up a massive logistical nightmare.
Oh, absolutely.
I would imagine it's a lot like building a suspension bridge upside down.
That's a really good way to think about it.
Because you have all this weight pulling toward the floor, so you have to distribute that tension across a grid so no single anchor point just, rips out of the ceiling.
That is a perfect analogy. The wigging has to be completely flawless.
What's the second trend?
The second major trend moves away from the ceiling and back to the floor. It's reimagining a classic staple, the wedding arch.
Okay.
But instead of a traditional arch, they are building asymmetrical, abstract structures.
Yeah, the traditional wedding arch can feel a little, I don't know, predictable, like a stiff, perfect horseshoe of flowers you just stand in front of.
Exactly.
But these asymmetrical structures look completely different in the research photos. They have these organic, flowing shapes that almost look like they're growing naturally out of the floorboards, wrapping around the couple in this cool crescent shape.
They feel much more like contemporary art than standard event decor. It's a very fashion-forward silhouette.
I love that.
Now, the third trend is a visual shift. Monochromatic sculptures.
Monochromatic.
Yeah. We're seeing a move away from wild, multicolored arrangements into single-color palettes. Ivory, blush, champagne, soft beige.
But why limit the palette when you have access to every flower in the world?
Because of human visual perception. When you're building something that is 15 feet tall and 10 feet wide, using too many colors can actually make it look chaotic.
Oh, like too busy.
Right. The eye doesn't know where to rest. When you use a single, unified color palette, you force the human eye to stop looking at color and start noticing shadow, depth, and texture.
Oh, wow. So the flowers themselves become the texture.
Exactly. The varying shapes of the different flowers do all the architectural work. It creates a sense of profound, three-dimensional sophistication.
Okay, let's unpack this fourth trend because I have to admit I am highly skeptical about this one.
Let's hear it.
The sources call it sustainable artistry, and I'm doing the mental math on this right now. We are talking about flying thousands of exotic orchids and cherry blossoms across the world, trucking them to a warehouse, and building a massive temporary structure for, what, a 6-hour party.
Right.
How can a trend entirely focused on massive, oversized luxury possibly claim to be eco-friendly?
It is a vital critique, and the industry has had to innovate aggressively because of that exact sentiment.
Aren't they actually, though?
They have. The sustainability trend in 2026 isn't just marketing, it's a complete mechanical overhaul of how these structures are built. Historically, large floral arrangements relied entirely on floral foam.
Right, those green